it's time for crying is not enough. It's time for us to put an end to our time with crying. Because we're about to reach the end of the story, such as it is. We have the head. Remember that? Dead man's head? We did the atrocity. We cut the head from the body. The head has a key inside of it. We don't really know how it has a key inside of it. How does Jacob know that? I don't know, but it does. He's very sure of it, and I'm not going to question him. But we need to find a way to get the key out. Jake just can't shove his hand in there, like up the neck hole. That's gross. There must be another way of doing it. And there is, because in the fountain in front of this house, there are piranhas, which we did see before. Do I want to use the dead man's head? Absolutely. We'll just kind of keep going at it. There, yep, we're checking it out. We're looking at it happen. There we go. It's done. They did it. Pool of red. Just kind of looks like red jelly. I don't know how was it possible for so much blood to fit in that head? I don't know. But it doesn't seem like the piranhas actually ate any of that blood because, wow, it's just all over the place. We need to get that key, but we can't just stick our hand in there. We saw what happened to the head. So do we want to use the Zorlafexin? Yes, we do. F1 mansion key. We don't need a cutscene for that one. We just hear bubbling, so I assume that means that they're dead. We got the key. It seems like this is the key for the first floor, except it's the key for the second. Like, we're going into the first floor right now. Unless this is actually the basement, which usually a house doesn't have a main door leading into the basement. That's usually, like the first floor. But, I mean, that's not really important. If that was the biggest thing that was wrong in this game, then it really wouldn't matter. Because, like, we're going up to the second floor right now. This is the locked door. Do I want to use F1 mansion key? All right, sure. There we go. We unlock the door. There is an ominous double door in front of us, but it's locked. All right, we have to search this floor. Fortunately, there's just like one thing on the entire floor. Is it in here? It is not. There is a bed with a blood stain on it. Has foul play been occurring in this mansion? Maybe, but for our purposes, for Jake's purposes, that doesn't really matter. It's stuck. Is that like a reflection of what's behind us? Kinda? Floor, I guess, yeah, the floor looks the same. I assume this is not a window that's looking out into another hallway. That's like supposed to be a reflection of what's here. Okay. I kind of see it. And of course, what would an ominous mansion be without a cubic and machine on every floor? Fortunately, we cannot go up here. I say fortunately because I don't really want to explore a third floor. So, this is the only room that we can access now. The only room that this whole thing is led to. And what is on this? Nothing else but a butter knife. It's a golden knife. Let's look at this. A golden knife seems like somewhere needs to be placed. Oh no, wait a second. I just noticed we have no reflection. Has Jacob been a ghost or vampire all this time? Maybe both? I'm not sure. Maybe the beings we've been fighting, maybe they have been the real humans. They look like monsters to us? is what that old woman will say to us in the climax. There's more blood in this bed. You can't go to sleep anywhere in this house. There's just like blood in every bed. Anyway, speculation aside. Yeah, actually, we don't appear in the reflections in the windows either. Magic windows, self-repaired. So, clearly, we are some kind of ghost vampire, and I'm okay with that. But, what we have to think about right now, are you ready to take on the final challenge in this game? Where does the butter knife go? Well, we've seen it. We've already seen where the knife goes. We were in a dining room previously, and Jake did notice there was a place that didn't have all of the necessary things set. Like, we could see like a plate and knife and fork there, but at the head of the table, there's no knife. We've got the knife. Are you ready? Are you ready to get all of your questions answered? Are you ready for crying is not enough to come to the climax? Because we're doing it right now, whether or not you are ready. We are going to use the golden knife. Well, we know that man. That's Richard. We met him in the graveyard. He's playing the piano. We saw the room previously where the piano is. We got to go to that room. Maybe he has the answers to our questions. See, there he is. He's in there. Well, he seems to be invincible, so let's just go and talk to him.
Bravo. Bravo. Congratulations, Mr. Helton. I admit that you are stubborn, like him. It is finally time to meet him. He is waiting for you.
I don't think the battle music is supposed to be playing right now. This wasn't playing the first time I got here. You can hear there's piano music playing at the same time, but the battle music is kind of overwhelming it. I don't think this is supposed to be happening, but I don't have a way of stopping the battle music. We're just gonna have to go into the ending with this music playing over it. Yeah, it's the general. You remember him? We saw him once. Back near the beginning, when Jacob crashed on the island, Richard said, "There's a problem." The general said, "Fix it." And that's all we've seen from him. He is also unkillable. Okay, let's go talk to him. Okay, that made the music stop.
Are you sure you want to do this?
Do you see any other way?
You will kill him.
It is for a higher cause, Mother. You know I love him. But if I don't push this button, many lives will be lost in vain. Now is the best chance. They are all inside the mansion.
If you press the button, there's no turning back.
Useless little creatures. They are so annoying. Tiny, useless beings that were running to save their pitiful lives. Like cockroaches, trampling each other to avoid a bullet in the head. That exactly were the inhabitants of that village. Cockroaches. Of course, when you try to destroy their nest, some of them will try to escape. And will always try to build another nest and another and another. Like a hydra. You chop the first head, and 2 more comes out. Understand only one thing, my son. That for cockroaches, death is not a form of extermination.
Dad? But you're supposed to be dead.
We built this place to find a solution to this problem. For the greater good. For a clean world without cockroaches. Because while you try to impose order, build this perfect world, they're popping out everywhere by reacting. Preventing great men, men with vision, to make great things. Together, my son, we will fight for this vision. Because you have my blood in your veins, not hers.
You know that he is not going to do it, right, Mother?
Give him some time, my dear. It won't be easy for him to comprehend the truth.
What about our truth? Our people? Who gave them a chance?
You are right, but there must be always something to distinct our revenge from their hate. It's a very thin line. And that line can easily be crossed with a simple glimpse into the abyss. Because it only takes one glimpse, Claire.
For the first time you speak like him. Like Dad. Since these animals executed him like a pig. They murdered him in cold blood.
You know, she was originally incorporated in our cause. But then she started to disagree with our methods, threatening us, leaving me no choice but to take my measures. But your mother began to change. She became weak. The purpose within her began to be affected by the feelings of the weak. Yes. Who would believe it? Melina, my sweet Melina, lost her mind.
You killed her. You killed all these people.
I had to do it, my son. She left me no other choice.
How could you do this? So many lives.
No, not this. Son, listen to me. Listen to me very carefully. Don't move. They trapped you. Shoot me now. Shoot me!
He is still alive, so it's time to choose, my child.
Abyss, Mother. I choose Abyss.
You are a monster.
Fool!
And so, the tale of trying is not enough comes to its end. Oh boy, that's something. That's a game. That's an ending. Oh man. I'm just looking at the voice actors here. Looking at the name for Jacob. I read. Oh, Dean Went, Dr. Miller. Dean Went, I believe, is the voice of Barney the dinosaur, and he was supposed to play Jacob in an old press release from 5 years ago. I guess he actually did do some lines, but he did the doctor at the beginning, not Jacob, I guess. Well, that's it. Those are the credits. That's the ending. That's the logo. So, okay. So the story. What was it? Jake's father was the leader of Skydom, I guess some kind of country that was invading other countries and killing the people, and Jake didn't know that. He thought his parents were dead, had been killed a long time ago, and I guess Jake was living his normal life somewhere else, and the daughter of one of the people who were killed by Skydom found Jacob and married him for the sake of manipulating him into sending him on a suicide mission to kill his father. And then, so that means that when Claire was kidnapped at the beginning, that was part of that plan. She wasn't actually kidnapped. She and her mother and the doctor were all in on it, I guess. Which makes it weird because when the helicopter was blown up by C4, that was also part of the plan. So it seems like it's not guaranteed that Jacob or the mother-in-law or the mother would have survived that. But I guess that was part of their plan. And then when Jake was he was operated on, remember that scene when he was operated on? So I guess that's where the doctor was putting the bomb inside of him. And that never came up throughout the game, so I was kind of curious as to what was that whole operating scene about. But it was to put the bomb in him so he would get blowed up and kill his father, if Jake did not actually shoot him. And the whole thing about the monsters, I think, was unrelated. That whole thing was Skydom was producing these monsters. They were experimenting on people. And then one of the doctors in charge of the project felt guilty, so he released all the monsters. And that just happened to coincide with Jake arriving on the island, I guess. Like, I guess that's the problem that Richard is talking about to the general at the beginning. He says, "Sir, we have a problem." The general says, "Fix it." And that was the problem, I guess, but it did not get fixed. It did not. So Jake fighting his way through monsters really didn't have to do with the main plan, which was to reach his father, where he would either shoot him or he would get blown up by bomb. And that's the story of Crying Is Not Enough. Man, that's... what do you say about this game? I'm not sure what you say about it. Maybe we should just take a look at the game's webpage and just see what we can see about it. Hold on, let me pull that up. Crying Is Not Enough, coming June 18th on Steam. Yes, it did. The other systems, PS4, Xbox One, I don't know about those. I don't know if that's happening. Apparently it's still supposed to, but Alright, so we can look at the screenshots, we can look at the description on Steam. I believe we already have seen that, but what we haven't seen is the story of the development. It says, the development started February 2013. At the begging of summer of the same year, a group of passionate players formed a small team and begun a journey that lasted 5 years. At the end of the year, a prototype of the game got its way to the Steam Greenlit and got accepted in a few days. The year 2015 was a milestone in the evolution of the video game industry after the gradual transition to the new generation of gaming consoles and more realistic visuals, uplifting the standards for any development team. This pushed us to make a big decision, which for a team that consists of 2 people was a one-way road. So in the autumn of 2015, the development team has made the big decision to start almost from scratch. The code and mechanisms were written from scratch, gameplay was revised, new elements were added, some graphics were redesigned and others were modernized. Soon, we realized that a decision that we initially frightened and looked like madness not only had positive results, but we diverted to redefine everything for the better. And we say madness because the game never had any funding, but only our full-time commitment, our love, and the few economies we had. It would be a lie to say that all these years everything was rosy and we did not face any difficulties. Having spent all of our time at the project, many times came faced with frustration, fear, intense fatigue, financial difficulties. However, we are proud that, instead of succumbing to these problems, the problems succumbed to us one by one. That's a pretty good line. All these problems broke in front of mutual respect and mutual support within the group, which after 5 years of hard work, came out winner. In January 2018, and after a journey full of difficulties, fatigue, and a lot of beautiful experiences, the team began to work on the last touches and to prepare, after 5 years, to release the game in the first quarter of the same year. Initially, we aimed to release the title on Steam, and immediately after, on PS4 and Xbox One. Crying Is Not Enough. About them, they're 2 people. Indie game team. They've been working on this for 5 years. Well, it says 5 years, but they did say that, what was it? In autumn of 2015, they scrapped what they had, started from scratch. So what we're seeing here is basically a 3-year project, which still doesn't really explain anything, does it? One thing I would say is that looking into this, first, they have not been saying a whole lot on their Steam forums. The last thing I saw on there was a post near the end of August where one of the developers did say that they still were going to have a patch coming that was going to fix bugs. But who knows? PS4 and Xbox One releases? Who knows about those either? I don't know. The Steam release, you might guess, has gotten overwhelmingly negative reviews. You could probably see why. So what are they going to do with this? Will they continue to support it and try to improve it? I don't know. I'm not sure why they released this in the state that it's in. It's kind of unexplainable. One other thing I was looking at, it was talking about how this had been in development for 5 years. And they mentioned a pre-alpha. So not much information on that, but I did see this one page, The Dark Side of Gaming. This article was from 2013, talking about crying is not enough. So this apparently is the original version of the game. It sounds like it was going to be a lot bigger than what it actually was. Storyline team has informed us about its new upcoming third-person action-adventure title called Crying is Not Enough. Crying is Not Enough is powered by Unity, coming to PC, Mac, and Linux, option of further expansion to various consoles. Okay, key features of the game. Check this out. 9 episodes plus season finale, beautiful 3D environment and characters, 10 plus hours of gaming, gameplay in 2 worlds, both gun and melee fighting, alternative endings, professional voice acting. Dean Went will be Jacob's voice, best known as the voice of Barney on the Barney and Friends show. Karma system, the player's choices affect the character's karma. Enemy reactions are affected by the karma level of the main character Jacob. Various playable flashbacks and flash forwards, where the player is called upon to manage other key characters apart from the main character. Level up system, many puzzles, out of which some are harder to sort out depending on the karma level. Weapon crafting system, complete UI, minimap, compass, and objective indicator. Oh, this could have really have used that. Competent AI, this could really have used that. That second to last one, compass and objective indicator, that would have made this game so much better if it had that one thing. If they had managed to put that in. Pretty nice list, right? Yeah, it's pretty nice. The game is currently on Steam Greenlight, and those interested can vote for it by visiting its page. Storyline team has also released a number of videos. Make sure to give them a go. As the team described, Crying is Not Enough represents, oh, check this part out, the first part of the Project Chromopolis series, which is unfolding in a period of 100 years and splits in 3 different seasons that connect with each other with various flashbacks and flash forwards. Crying is Not Enough certainly sounds ambitious. Question now is whether the game will be able to live up to its astounding key features. Hey, that's not a question anymore. You know, you want the answer to that. Fast forward 5 years, Dark Side of Gaming. Question has been answered. So this was the Project Chromopolis. So I thought that said Chronopolis in the game. Apparently it's an M, like chromosome, I guess. Project Chromopolis was supposed to be a trilogy, it looks like, which of this was the first game, Crying is Not Enough, unfolding over a period of 100 years, and you flash forward and back. So, what we got? Nothing at all like the description of the game from 2013. Also, these videos, they're not up anymore, unfortunately. I would have liked to have seen what this was about, but nah. Videos are unavailable. Well, that's what this game was supposed to be. Like, there's this one small screenshot here. That is not at all what the game turned out to be, though. That is not what it turned out to be. Oof. It's just really hard to figure out what to say about this, because it's not in a state where it should have been released to begin with, yet it was. So, was this just an issue of we're out of time? We can't work on this anymore. Let's just get what we have out the door? And then maybe we can work on some more later? Was that it? I don't know why they released it like this. Surely this couldn't have been what they were trying to make. Like, what they were trying to make does seem like a, kind of Resident Evil 4-ish sort of game with sort of a Silent Hill-ish tone to it, and they couldn't have been happy with the final result, could they? It's like, that's a genuine question. They can't have been happy with how their project turned out, right? Yet they did release it, and they are selling it for $20. And I don't know what to say about it. I'm trying, I play a lot of bad games on the channel, but this is the one that's been the most baffling to me, I think. Like, we previously had played Omicron. I had fun with that. I saw a lot of good points, even though that game was incredibly just rough and didn't play very well. I think about previous games like Remothered, in which, on a technical level, that game came out fine. I think that team made the game they wanted, even though I didn't like the game. I think, in the case of Remothered, they produced the game they were trying to make. And I can't imagine that's the case with Crying is Not Enough. I think about like Anothink. Remember him? Remember Anothink's games? Those really short first-person games where you would like walk a little bit and then something scary would happen, and like there would like the narration would be a an artificial voice. Remember those? We used to play those. I would say that this Crying Is Not Enough is worse than those games, because Anothink's games at least were short. They were at least considerate of your time. This is the opposite of that. Crying Is Not Enough is incredibly inconsiderate of your time by having you traverse a very large empty area trying to find just tiny things without much indication of where anything is. So I would say this is worse than Anothink's games, honestly. When you take the entire picture into consideration, thinking about the kinds of games I used to play on XBlig, and I mean, again, in those cases, those were generally very short, which is one up on Crying Is Not Enough. Thinking about something like the Undead Syndrome is pretty close in terms of how bad it is. It's pretty close. But even in that case, I would say there's more of a direction as far as where you're going. Undead Syndrome 2 was lengthier than the first game, and I had trouble figuring out where to go. But when I think about how long did it take me to get through this game, to figure out how to get through it, it's a lot longer than Undead Syndrome 2. So I would still say that Crying Is Not Enough is worse than the Undead Syndrome games. Man, what else has there been? Plumbers Don't Wear Ties? Not a game. All right, I'm going to pull that card. I'm not going to... Plumbers Don't Wear Ties might be worse than Crying Is Not Enough. Plumbers Don't Wear Ties is also not a game. It only had notoriety because it was released on a console. It was released on a 3DO. That thing is not a game. So I'm not going to say it's a worse game than Crying Is Not Enough because it's not a game to begin with. So there's also a bunch of DOS games, but most of those DOS games were better than this. I might have to say that over the course of running this channel for 10 years, and granted I have not been playing bad games that whole time, but there have been a number of bad games. But after running this channel for 10 years, I might have to say Crying Is Not Enough is the worst game I've ever played. And I would like to see what else this team does after this. I want to see more from Storyline Team. It's actually impressive that they made something this bad. I can't even imagine what kind of decisions went into something that resulted in this product. It's hard for me to even wrap my head around it. Yet it happened. It existed. It's here in front of us. It's being sold on Steam. And I want to see a sequel. I don't want it anytime soon. I'm not saying I want them to release a new game like in a few months or even a year. Like maybe, 5 years down the road. Maybe a follow-up to Crying Is Not Enough. Or maybe not that long. But I do want to see something new from Storyline Team. But, take their time on that. No rush. There's really no rush, Storyline Team. You can just take your time with... take the things that you learned from your journey on making Crying Is Not Enough, maybe make something a little bit smaller in scope, a little bit more manageable, something that maybe doesn't have to require so much exploration of a completely boring environment, something a little tighter, tightly paced. Maybe you could produce something that would be not the worst game ever made. I believe in you, Storyline Team. Storyline Team, you made me feel emotions with your product, and most games are not able to do that. But you did make me feel emotions of some kind, even though I'm having difficulty identifying what those emotions are. So, Storyline Team, I hate you, but I also love you. And I would like to see more from you, but I hope you learned a lot from the making of Crying Is Not Enough, and I hope that those lessons can be utilized in a future product that could hopefully be playable. Yeah, I'll say that. I hope your next game is playable, because This kind of wasn't. It kind of wasn't. I don't say that often, call a game unplayable, but this one is a game that I think many people would consider to be unplayable. I don't think that's an exaggeration. I don't think there's anything else for me to say about Crying Is Not Enough either. Only that I am in awe of the product that was put out here. My mind cannot comprehend it. It is like I am looking at Dread Azathoth as he descends from the heavens, and my mind explodes rather than attempting to understand the reality of what I'm seeing. That has been my experience with Crying Is Not Enough. And I hope you all have enjoyed watching me play this, because God help you, you don't want to play this yourself. You really don't want to play this yourself. I can't even do the thing I usually do where I try to find the positives in something and say that you might want to play this if you like blank. No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You don't want to play Crying Is Not Enough. It's something special, but something that you don't want to play. But I've played it, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it. It's been Crying Is Not Enough. Jacob is dead. His father is dead. I guess Claire and her mother are alive. They have achieved their revenge. And that has been the story. That has been the background. That has been the experience of Crying Is Not Enough.